From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, tonight, a closer look at something seldom used, but it's getting attention from lawmakers in Montana and Wyoming. The controversial issue of the death penalty. As one state looks to reinstate, the other looks to abolish the act. Well, last week, the Montana House passed House Bill 244. It would put Montana back on track to resume executions. Now, that bill, sponsored by Billings Republican Representative Dennis Lenz, changes language in state law concerning the drugs used in lethal injection. Now, the bill now goes to the Senate. And this week, another bill that would have abolished the death penalty in Montana was tabled without discussion. Montana's last execution was in 2006. Now, while Montana lawmakers consider the bill that would effectively reinstate the act, another effort is underway to repeal the death penalty in Wyoming. Q2's Russ Riesinger has been looking into that and joins us now with more. Russ.
Several groups are involved in the effort to try and repeal the death penalty in Wyoming, and they came pretty close to succeeding 2 years ago, falling just a few votes short. Another bill is expected to be introduced in the coming week, and some of the opposition to capital punishment is coming from those who have been most hurt by violence.
It was in 1993. My mother was working at a convenience store here in Green River, Wyoming.
30 years ago now, and she was 24 years old. She was working as an entertainer, singing and dancing in Great Falls.
And a random individual came in and kidnapped, took her out to an area where he then raped and strangled her to death.
And she'd been in a relationship that had been very stormy. We got a call that she had been shot. And it was a really dark and long, hard time.
Sue Dupree and Crystal Martin share a tragic bond of losing a loved one to murder. They're also both members of a group called Wyoming Conservatives concerned about the death penalty. Sue has served as a pastor of churches in both Wyoming and Montana.
I have consistently argued against it for the last 30 years. Really, I felt like it was one way that I could honor the life of my daughter to just speak up for life in general.
Crystal not only lost her mother as a child, 25 years later, she also lost her husband to homicide.
Then, as an adult in 2014, my husband was shot in the head and burned in a fire pit.
She later began studying criminal justice and learned about a restorative justice program in Wyoming that allows victims' families to meet an offender in hopes of bringing about healing. It would bring her face to face with the man who killed her mother.
You know, at first it was really scary walking into the prison. I'll tell you that. You know, the gates closing behind me, just slamming, making me jolt, not knowing what to expect. But then when I got in there, it was empowering. It was, I get to lead the conversation. I get to have the questions answered that I've been waiting so long to have answered.
Did you forgive him?
I did. I absolutely did. He's a human being, just as anybody else is.
Wyoming has only executed one person since capital punishment was reinstated, and that was in 1992. There's no one awaiting execution. But last year, the U.S. Supreme Court cleared the way for a possible return to death row for Dale Wayne Eaton by declining to hear his appeal.
Eaton, now 75, could be resentenced to death for the horrific 1988 kidnap, rape, and murder of 18-year-old Lisa Marie Kimmel, who'd been driving home to visit her parents in Billings from Denver. Eaton was linked to Kimmel's murder in 2003, her car found buried on his property. The time and costs involved in a death penalty case are two of the reasons why opponents argue against it.
You don't see it as a deterrent in any way?
Absolutely not. No, I see it as an easy way out.
It hasn't been proven to be a deterrent. I've studied the issue a lot, and the statistics don't bear out a deterrence on it.
Yeah, a lot of people do feel eye for an eye. For me, I feel that there's no justification in taking another person's life, no matter the harms that they cause you.
Crystal believes the money spent on death penalty cases would be better off going toward victims' families or other efforts to prevent crime. The cost of a death penalty case also got the attention of the state's Republican governor, Mark Gordon, who said last summer that Wyoming may implement a moratorium on the death penalty to save money. In Billings, I'm Russ Riesinger reporting for MTN News.
All right, thanks so much, Russ. Well, even before it's instated, lawmakers are hearing some of the first bills aimed at tightening limits on Montana's future recreational marijuana system. The House Business and Labor Committee heard testimony today on House Bill 568, sponsored by Representative LOLA Sheldon-GALLOWAY, a Republican from Great Falls. The bill would set a limit on the number of recreational dispensaries in each county to 1 for every 10,000 residents. It would also require those dispensaries to be at least 1,000 feet away from places of worship, schools, parks, and playgrounds. Sheldon-GALLOWAY says her intent is to limit youth exposure to marijuana once legal sales start. But opponents say by limiting licenses, smaller businesses will not be able to compete and large companies could dominate the industry.
The people of Montana have asked us to have recreational marijuana in our state. My bill is just asking for some sideboards on that.
The only way to operate and to provide for that many people, not including out of state, is you have to be a massive entity. And then so who gets to control that?
Also this week, the House Judiciary Committee advanced House Bill 517 to add stronger penalties for underage marijuana possession. Well, Montana Senator Steve Daines is a solid no vote on the Secretary of Interior nominee, Representative Deb Haaland. Daines announced his opposition following a two-day hearing. Ranking Republican Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming also says no. Now, Daines says Haaland harbors a hostile record and view of energy and natural resources. She would become the first Native American appointed to a cabinet-level position, and she's supported by tribes across the nation. Daines acknowledges the milestone, but that will not sway his vote.
But I evaluate any person's nomination based on their prior record. And yes, we need to continue to work hard in Indian country and all these issues of missing and murdered Indigenous women. It relates to housing, it relates to the issues of poverty and drugs and violence. But that doesn't mean that Representative Haaland is going to be the best Secretary of Interior. Her views, her radical views on energy, so forth, that's going to hurt Indian country, not help Indian country.
Now, if all 50 Democratic senators support Haaland, she will not need any GOP votes to win confirmation. Well, as if 2020 hasn't been hard enough on everyone, the impacts have been especially difficult on our local high schools. No dances, no students in the stands for most sporting events, and of course, 8+ hours a day wearing masks because they wanted to be in class. On top of all this, the recent loss of 4 teenagers in 2 separate car crashes. We want our children safe, all of them. I talked with some volunteers today who want to make a difference but need your help as we approach graduation 2021. 17-year-old Christine Croft, a junior at Billings Senior High School. 16-year-old Connor DeVere, a junior at Billings West. And 17-year-old Tommy Lindsay, also a junior at Billings West High. And 18-year-old Kylie Larson, a senior at West. The Billings community has lost 4 teenagers in 2 separate car crashes and left 2 young survivors with images no one should ever have to see. All this loss and pain within 17 days. These tragic situations have also left hundreds of other young victims as they struggle and cope with the loss of their friends and fellow students.
Monday was really rough, especially Monday morning walking into that school. As the day went on, it went better, and yesterday was a little bit better. But it's hard. They're young and they're trying to wrap their brains around it.
And that is why this team and dozens of other volunteers are working to ensure a safe graduation night for all Billings grads.
I think moments like these, you realize that an accident like this could happen to anyone you love at any moment. And it also makes you realize how important it is to be connected to each other, especially for our kids, especially for high school kids. That social connection means so much.
A connection started by Skyview students brought together in one image that's now circling social media and being shared to thousands.
I think as a parent and teachers and everybody else, it just makes you kind of look at your kids and their friends and everything and just kind of understand, and the kids understand that life can change at any minute.
Well, deep rivalries with big hearts. All three public high schools will hold separate graduation ceremonies on Sunday, May 30th at METRAPARK. And their overnight celebrations, Senior High Rad Grad, Billings West Bear Bash, and Skyview Falcon Finale will follow that evening. If you would like to donate, sponsor a senior to attend, or offer prizes, you can head to this story at ktvq.com to find that link. You can also request to donate to all three of the schools or a specific school. And in a visual show of support, what started with the students at Skyview, they're asking all students and the community to wear orange and black tomorrow, that's Thursday, and black and gold on Friday. It looks like the Yellowstone Wildlife Sanctuary in Red Lodge will become home to yet another bison in May, but instead of being rescued, this one will be born. That's right, Luna, the 6-year-old bison recently rescued by the sanctuary, is pregnant. The sanctuary, which is a non-breeding facility, says that Luna was pregnant when they got her back in December. We hear she's doing well, in good spirits, and she's eating a lot. The staff is also very excited due to the fact that there hasn't been a birth at the sanctuary in more than 20 years. Executive Director Gary Robson spoke with Q2 earlier today about this unexpected surprise and to ask for the public's help.
Right now, we have what we need to be able to take care of these animals, but this is something new to us. None of us were here the last time there was an animal born here. This is one of the reasons that the Wildlife Sanctuary is asking for help to bring in some new bison handling equipment. It is for both the safety of the people involved and the comfort, security, and well-being of the animals.
And Yellowstone Wildlife Sanctuary is a charity organization. You can donate to help the bison by visiting the website. And if you want to see Luna, you can stop by the sanctuary, which will open back up to the public on Friday, March 5th. Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News on Q2, METRAPARK is buzzing with activity from an RV and boat show to the upcoming Toby Keith concert. We have your backstage pass to all that's going on. And also bouncing around the Metra, the Eastern A Divisional Basketball Tournament. We'll have the highlights.
We have a pretty sky with the Stockman Bank weather cam today after we saw the snow showers move through, that light powdery, some little snow pellets. Temperatures were cooler than average. We picked up just enough moisture to measure. Back with the forecast in a few minutes.